Hi there, Paul the Hairy Woodcarver here again. We're going to have another go at a coffee scoop, but this time it's going to be chip carved into the handle. So what's inspired this one is some work that I've done before. You can see it on camera. Take it off. It's kind of that sort of chip carving design. So I'll carve out the bowl of the coffee scoop, and then we'll try and work that into the actual handle itself. And yeah, we'll see how that goes. So without further ado, let's get carving. I wanted the chip carving to be the main focus of this video. The next video I do is going to be on how I actually do the scoop. I did get a little bit of footage of me pulling the scoop together. But like I say, the main focus is on the actual chip carving on this one. So I'm preparing the edges here, the shoulders, to take the chip carving. You've got to be pretty accurate here. Any mistakes you make are going to show up in the final chip carving themselves. So yeah, a bit of time spent here getting it right. I used a standard Mora knife here, the biggest one, just to kind of get a nice straight knife on the edge here, and then I went on to trying to finish the curve in the tail at the end. So I've used a pretty small little gouge here just to get the shape. Got a bit cold in the workshop this evening, so I went into the house in front of the fire. And like I say, this is the bit where I was just a tiny bit of footage where I was preparing the actual scoop itself. So that's a beaver craft cranked gouge there, and then I move on to a standard spoon hook knife. It's a double-sided one there, which is quite handy for the grains going in all sorts of directions. Come at it both ways. Just got to remember not to put your finger on it. So this is where I start marking out for the actual chip carving itself. I'm using a set of calipers here. With this pattern you have two lines, one each side and one down the centre. So I use the calipers to measure that, and then I use that as the distance between each of the actual chips itself. As you can see me marking out here. And then you pretty much start drawing it out. To be a bit inventive around the end here, and just played around with a few ideas until I got what I actually liked. Took it into the bowl there. Oh, nearly got away. Yeah, this part takes quite a while, this actual drawing the thing out itself. And again, accuracy is the key here, because you will carve to it, and if it's wrong, your carving will look wrong. It's worth spending a bit of time here. So I'm just starting the actual chip carving now. Like all of my carving, I am self-taught with this. I've watched some videos and stuff like that, but a lot of it's just kind of getting the feel of how it all comes together. I think the key with chip carving is to imagine where the tip of that knife is and where you want it to be. So if you want it to be shallow, start shallow, and then envisage as you're going deep where that knife's going to be. I've got a close up here, so see there I was starting shallow, going in, using the actual shape of the blade there to give me the depth of the cut in the middle. But here I'm starting really shallow, going in deep. If you go in deep straight away, you end up undercutting it. So you have to, it's trial and error. Get a board, draw it out and just keep practicing. Yeah, nice and shallow, in deep quite quickly, but then using the knife as the, and then pulling it out at the end there, see? There you go. You can always go back and tidy up a little bit missed there. I don't advise starting off this small. But don't go too big either, because if you go too big, you've got to then dig your knife in quite deep. So yeah, it swings and roundabouts really. So this cut here was a little bit more complicated because you've got to remember not to go in too deep to start with. I'm not happy with that, so again, make sure you've got a good guide to go by. If it's not right, go back and draw it in again. Yeah, this cut's a bit like that thing where you tap your head and rub your tummy at the same time, because you're trying to make sure you don't go in too deep. You go in deep enough at that point. You draw them out, and as you're drawing it this way, you're coming up, but also you're going around the corner as well. So it's takes a bit of practice, that one. I'm coming right out at the end there because I want that to disappear. So it's and as I go back in there, hardly touching the thing, and then back in, and going in for the depth here, but also going around the corner as well. Yeah, the fibres cut in there nicely. Don't be afraid to go back in, but make sure you've got the angles right when you do go back in. If you start going back in at different angles, you end up making a mess of it. Going in for this other side here. The curve of the handle didn't help with this one either. I had to keep cutting in the way that I didn't really want to. There's a comfortable way and a not so comfortable way. Sometimes you have to go in the other way. There you go. In deep. And drawing the knife back out, hand around the corner. You see that lovely curl coming out there. I wish they all came out like that. This was one of the deepest cuts on this piece. Getting right down in the bottom there. But being so careful, because that piece here, where that joins onto there, is absolutely tiny. I don't recall the number exactly, but this knife that I'm using is one of Flex Cut's mini chip knives. I'll look the number up, flash it on the screen. It's one of the smaller ones that they do, which is quite nice for doing this sort of thing. Yeah, so I have to be really, really careful there, because that what's the piece of material that's left there in the middle is quite narrow, so you've got to be really, really careful. I've actually sped this up a little bit now because, again, as all my videos, they start off really, really long. So I didn't want to take out too much. I wanted to leave enough in that you could see it progressing. But hopefully you can still see what I'm doing quite well. Another little tip when you're chip carving, especially if you're new to it, is that don't ever be tempted to flick out the chip. You see there, I'm turning that around. And oh, that one's fell out. That was a good one. Yeah, sometimes they don't come out straight away, but don't be tempted to flick them out. Just go back in the other way. Go back in, go back in, go back in until it comes out. We'll find one in a minute and I'll show you what I mean. Trust me, they're not all coming out perfect. Nice when they do. You see how I'm drawing that knife out at the end? There you go. See how I went back in there a couple of times on that one? Don't flick it, because if you flick it, you'll end up breaking the side out, and that'll be curtains. You'll have to change the design. You may notice that there's two main cuts I do. This is the first one that I'm doing, which is like the standard cut, or what I call a standard cut, and then you come back the other way, which is that one. So you pretty much use those two cuts for most things. I will do a how I chip carve video. It's on my list of videos to do. When you get into the swing of it, you can do this, what I'm doing now, which is several cuts at the same time. But I'd advise doing a chip at a time to start with. It does get a bit confusing at times. So this is where it got really, really tight up the end here. It narrowed down to almost a point at the end. So yeah, the chips that came out of here were really, really tiny. This is me sporting my head magnifiers. They were about 20 quid, I think, on Amazon. Yeah, I mean, a game changer really for doing this sort of thing. Got about 5 or 6 different lenses on there for different magnifications. But yeah, I wouldn't be able to do it as small as that without the without those. I've got pretty good eyes, I think. They're not too bad, but that makes all the difference really. I always have the philosophy, if it looks good under those magnifying glasses, when you take them off, it's going to look alright. This bit right down the end here, you can challenge the mini chip carving knife. Thought I was going to have to crack out the little dental chisel that I've got. It's like a millimetre across just to get the final bits out, but I did manage to get it in the end. It was pretty tight. See how I'm not forcing it there? Just keep cutting. It will pop out in the end. There she goes. It's still a little bit untidy there, but you can always just tidy it up. I'll bring those 2 points together there, and that looked okay then in the end. There we go. The grain was a bit nasty there as well, so it didn't help. So I finally decided on the design for the 2 side panels. And again, as you can see, it went quite small at that end. But this is the design here. What it actually looks like in the end is little crosses. Again, I have to be a bit inventive down in that corner there. This is the bit I was talking about earlier. You wouldn't normally cut in from this way, you'd go the other way, but the bowl was in the way. It just means you've got to change things up a little bit sometimes. That's where it starts coming together really, because you end up with designs against designs, and you end up with like that edging on it. It's yeah, it looks really nice. Although I've sped some of this up, this is real time, so you can see it's quite time consuming doing something like this. I don't know exactly how long it took. I think I had nearly 3 hours of footage. I didn't record it all, so I think it's probably 6 hours, something like that. What I tend to do when I'm first starting out is to take a chip out like that, just to make sure there's nothing funky going on with the grain. Tidy up. And then I'll move on to doing a series. But what I never tend to do is to go on too far, because it is so easy just to get confused, put that cut in the wrong place. And that is, especially when you get to this stage, that's very disappointing. You end up with a cut in the wrong place. So I tend to not try to go too far ahead. I haven't said anything about it in this video, but all carving's the same really, but it's absolutely crucial that these knives are absolutely as sharp as you can get them. If you get a nice clean cut, it makes all the difference. If you're trying to cut with something that's just a bit dull, you're never going to get the nice clean cuts that you're seeing here. Back up this end again. The same issue again, it's so tight, and also it kind of goes round the corner, which doesn't help. And then when you get right down the end, you're kind of working in behind the bowl. So it was like trying to carve with your hands tied behind your back a little bit. Yeah, it was a bit of a challenge. We don't do these things because they're easy. So once all the diamonds are all in place, it's a matter of going back over and cutting in these little notches. And it's I've tried doing this without drawing the lines in for this, but it makes it 10 times easier if you go in and actually draw them in. It's really easy to get kind of lost, and then they all look a little bit funky. Yeah, they've got to be quite accurate, these little notches, and they've all got to meet in the middle. Otherwise, it doesn't look like a cross. Just holding the thing can be a bit of a challenge sometimes when it gets small like this. Especially when it's a funny shape like that. I was putting my finger through the loop sometimes and kind of holding it like that, but yeah, very fiddly. That one's refusing to come out. So that's that side pretty much finished when that one did finally come out. Moved on to the next panel now. So this is the final panel running down the other side. But at least I know what I'm doing now. Always helps. See, I'm getting more and more confident. That's when it goes wrong. Had a bit of spalting there, which I was a little bit concerned about when I first cut the blank and everything, but it actually carved out nicely over that, and it looked as quite a nice little feature when it was done. Sometimes that can cause you a bit of a problem. A big lump of it drops out or something, but no, it was fine. Is when I come up the other side that comes into play more. One thing you can say about chip carving is it's very therapeutic when it's like this, because it's yeah, you're doing it's very repetitive, so you're kind of just doing a dink 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 dink, but you can't let your mind wander. It has to stay focused on what you're doing. It's kind of a good mix, really. Proper way of switching off. Sometimes if they don't drop out first time, it's better to just keep going and then coming back and getting the one that didn't drop out if you're doing a big run of these things. These were coming out quite nicely, actually. That one put up a bit of a fight. And we're down at the end now, that tight bit. Quick reminder of what the other side looked like there. Really, really tight. There's a bit of spalting down the end there as well, which again didn't cause me any problems. Yeah, I decided to take like a diamond right down to the end. So it kind of followed its way down. And then I just put in the notch like halfway down the shaft of that. It kind of worked. What I really like about that centre design is it looks like there's a line that runs all the way down through the middle. Kind of like that. It's quite eye-catching. Yeah, there's me drawing in these the crosses the other way. I've only been doing that recently. I used to freehand it, but occasionally you get one wrong, so it's better just to pencil them in, and then you've got something to guide you, really. And you're just taking out the pencil line, really. Quick, a little tiny V-cut and knocking out the pencil line. I don't know whether I mentioned earlier on, I can't remember, but this is sycamore wood. It's got a really, really lovely grain on it. In the next video I'm going to do a video about me actually carving the scoop itself before this stage. I might do a little bit of chip carving at the end, just a simple design or something. But I think I'm going to use a bit of birch burr for that I cut out ages and ages ago. So I'm not quite sure how that's going to carve, but hopefully quite nice. It's usually got quite pretty grain in that. But all these things always add to the complexities of it. You never know which way that pretty grain's going to run. It's quite key that you join these up. It's very easy for them to look a bit weird if they those lines don't meet in the middle. Doesn't look like a cross anymore. You see that spalting going across there where my finger is now. It's very forgiving, thankfully. So that's pretty much all of the carving done now. Just finishing off now, so giving the bowl a little bit of a sand, and the started off. I can't remember what that paper was. I think it might have been 180 because I had a few little notches I wanted to get out, and then this is 800, the blue. It's just finishing it off. And what I tend to do with carvings, I've seen this on a YouTube channel actually, is use a piece of leather with the suede side, just as like the final polish. The guy was using it just on flat wood, but actually it works really well on chip carving because it takes all the little bits of fluffy out and it just polishes it up. That's pretty much finished now. It's had a coat of wax oil. We use tongue and beeswax to make sure it's food safe. So I was generally quite happy with that, especially the contrasting chip carving. I think it works, especially around this bend. Nice bit of spalting going on there. I was a bit worried that was going to cause me some problems and break out, but actually it carved really nice. Some gorgeous grain in that air-dried sycamore. Once you sand it up and polish it up nice, it's really pretty. Well, if you made it to the end, thank you very much for watching. I'm hoping to do 1 or 2 of these types of videos a week. So if you haven't already subscribed, please do. And if you like the video, please give it the thumbs up. See you next time.